You're tuned in to Tom Foolery.
All right, we got Tom Foolery, another episode here, and I've got Logan Woods with me here. Thanks for coming on, Logan.
Thank you so much for having me. It's a pleasure to be on.
Is it really?
It is. I
No.
truly mean that.
Well, we're just starting off. I'm hoping eventually it really will be a pleasure for people to come on.
It is. I mean that sincerely.
Okay, so Super Bowl actually just ended like
Yes.
an hour ago. Did you watch it?
Oh, yes, I did. I was so disappointed. I'm a Rams fan. I'm an LA girl. So I
That's
wanted
right.
them to win and they blew it. They
Yeah.
so blew it.
Yeah, you're recording from LA. I forgot
Yeah,
about that. So you are a Rams fan.
I am.
You
I do not like the Patriots. I'm not a big fan. My brother is.
Well, anybody who's watching might be confused by all of the Yankees stuff. I was born in New York, but I am a full-on Atlanta fan. I love the Falcons. I love the Hawks. I love Atlanta United. I got a Atlanta United hat over there today, but Falcons fans feel for you. We know what it is like more than
Yes.
anybody.
The solidarity.
Yes, man, the Falcons one was rough. Like we were killing them. We were just whooping them by like 17 points at the end of the third quarter. And then just within such a short amount of time, they come back, they tie it right before the end
Yep.
of the fourth quarter, go into overtime, score a touchdown. It was, I mean, seriously, I went into shock, like clinical shock. Like you and my sister actually explained this to me. You know, my sister Mary.
Yeah.
Yeah, she told me that like this is why sometimes like in places, you know, a team like wins or loses a soccer game and people like go off and start killing people. The LA is well known for rioting when teams are
We've been known to.
yes. And so she said this is what happens is like you get so excited or you just have this huge high and your body is producing all these chemicals and then all of a sudden the exact opposite happens and the two mix and you go into shock. And I sat for like 10 minutes. I couldn't talk. I couldn't get any words out. Like people were like, Tom, come on, man, it's not that bad. And I was just sitting there like I thought I was gonna die too. Like my heart was pounding so hard, I did not even care about the game anymore at that point. I was afraid for my life. Like I was sweating so hard and freaking out so hardcore. When you get that excited, you think it's in. I actually posted on Facebook around halftime. I posted the words in the biggest letters I could in the bag and people start freaking out. They're like, dude, you can't say that. The game's not over. You're jinxing us. Don't say in the bag. And so I posted again, a second time, in the bag. And they all lost it. They were freaking out. And then we lost the game.
Mm-hmm.
You better believe everybody came out the woodwork to tell me how it was my fault. And when I'm freaking out in that moment, I believe this stuff. Like I'm reading these texts
Oh.
like, oh my goodness, I made the Falcons lose. Why did I post that on Facebook? Like I totally lost my mind. My mom started the hashtag not my son.
Oh god.
she she was posting hashtag not my son because I lost the Falcons the Super Bowl against the Patriots. I didn't get to watch much of the game. I was working for most of it. Did you watch the whole game?
I did. Well, no. I was watching I rented Black Klansman. So I got to watch that beforehand and it ran over. So I got to watch the second inning to the fourth quarter and it was so boring. I was bored out of my brain. I just couldn't take it. I was too busy chatting with the friends near me and eating whatever they had. So
Oh,
yeah,
you went to a party?
my neighbors, who I live in a apartment complex, and she lives about 4 doors down from me, and we all joined at her place and watched the game and had food and laughed, and yeah,
Very
and then
cool.
came home. It's
I
nice when they're that close.
same. Mary again. I watched Black Klansman with her
Uh-huh.
a couple months ago. Actually, I enjoyed it. It was really good.
It was brilliant. It was a beautiful movie. I think Spike Lee should get the award for the. Granted, I haven't seen the rest of the films, but his directing in that film was spot on. It was just
Yes.
beautiful.
Yeah, the some of the angles and some of the stuff that they did, it was really great. Like I really enjoyed the camera work. And actually, Denzel Washington's son is
Hmm.
star in that movie, and I watch him in another show on HBO. The name is eluding me right now. I can't think of it, but it's about football players, and he plays this very like cocky wide receiver, Ocho Cinco type of
Hmm.
wide
Fire, yeah.
receiver. Yeah, just very flamboyant and out there, and making a lot of noise and making bunch of mess for his team to clean up all the time. So yeah, he's really good in that too. He's just like Denzel though. He talks just like him. He sounds just like him. He's got
He
this
does.
cadence in his words.
He does. He's very much like his father. Very much. It was really nice seeing him play. Being an actor, it was a nice second generation. He actually has good acting chops.
Yeah. Well, I have a list of people that I want to bring on the podcast, and it's just a certain type of person. And I'm looking for all sorts of things. Like I main one, and I think this is anybody who has a podcast. I'd love to be the first one to do it. Find a flat earther. I would love to sit and talk to a flat earther because it's always just short clips, videos like, hey, here is why the earth is flat. And it's just like a real short clip, real quick of, some sort of evidence. They never have any sort of proof, but they got some sort of evidence they found that the earth is flat. But once you watch those videos, you sit there and you're like, yeah, but what about gravity? Or what about, you just got like a million questions, but I would love to be able to sit and actually get them to answer some questions real quick. I think that flat earthers are just, I think that they're trolling the world right now. I think they're just screwing with us.
I think they are too. I give you such kudos for being willing to do that. I wish I could not do that. When things come on that are supposed to be science related or have some science backing and there's no science to support it and I'm seeing flaw after flaw, I literally have to go away. I feel like a cartoon character where my brain just goes boom, and I'm going, no, I'm out of here. I've turned movies off. I've turned shows off because their science was so shoddy, and I'm like, I can't even wrap my brain around it. This is not acceptable.
Yeah, there's people who
Kudos.
say they can't watch Gravity because a lot of the science in Gravity, the movie with Sandra Bullock, is so
Yes,
messed up. It's so bad that they're like,
yes.
as somebody who studies science, I can't deal with it. I can't take it. So I want to get like a conspiracy theorist on.
Yes.
Get some good conspiracy theories and
Why are those always entertaining and always interesting to know? I mean, to go on that fringe, to want to really, not that you believe in it, but just wanting to hear what they have to say. And it's like, it's so fascinating. It leaves you kind of spellbound, but it's like, you're not there, but it's like putting the fork in the socket.
Yes, it is. It's what's the one? Man, I can't. The name. It's the people who pretty much run the world. Illuminati.
The Rothschild?
No, the Illuminati.
Oh,
Okay.
okay, Illuminati, yes.
Yes, I will sit and just watch YouTube videos for hours, and they're all so crappy. They're all the
Yes.
crappiest videos I've ever seen, but they are I will just listen to the stuff about, you know, Jay-Z and Beyonce are now Illuminati, and this is, you know, why they recruited them, and, you know, just George W. Bush is Illuminati and we have proof, and they go through their proof, and just I enjoy it. Like, it's so much fun just listen. It's like watching a car wreck. Like, it's just, you can't take your eyes off of it.
Yes. Oh, yes. I have to pull myself away from those because I could get sucked in and watch them for hours and then find myself looking at doomsday stuff and going, I really don't want that even in my own imagination. Like, no, no. But yes, because I won't even entertain. I'm afraid to bring it.
Yeah, I can't believe in the conspiracy theories. The one I have the most trouble with, and I know that they have a lot of proof, and that's probably why I have the most trouble with it, is all of the 9/11 conspiracy theories with buildings falling and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Those are hard to watch, but another one is a marijuana activist, and you were pitched to me as a marijuana legalization activist in Los Angeles. Yeah.
Yes, that I am. I try to help educate people on how cannabis can help them and how it doesn't. I try to keep it real. I base it on science only. I do not. I try to help people through it and figuring out what they need without them freaking out and fearing that high. That's the biggest fear.
Science only. So, what is something that somebody who is not worried about the science, what is something that they are saying or that they would put out there that might damage what you're working on?
Oh, there was a new hit piece. It was put out by a journalist who is a sci-fi writer, actually, and he's talking about that how cannabis leads to psychosis, leads to elevated violence rate, and leads to violence and schizophrenia and drain on society. And the science does not back him in any regard. We know today that taking cannabis isn't going to do any harm to you. They can't do any harm. It literally is impossible to do harm when ingesting pure cannabis. Granted, if you add things to it, there's a problem, but they don't do that. When it's legal, they're not going to add the chemicals to it that will damage your lungs through the pesticides and certain chemicals they keep to keep mold off of it. They can't put it on when it's regulated. And so it protects the patients, people who need it for medical benefits, who have to function with it. I am currently a functional cannabis user. I use it to function. I use it not to get high. I wish I could get high in the sense of just going out and I just want to go out and get high and have that kind of deal. No, I use cannabis purely as medicinal value and medicinal needs. So, and people don't get that. People think a lot of people are just getting high. And even those who are getting high, there's a medical necessity going behind the scenes that they don't even know. It's healing things. Cannabis goes in and THC activates a CB1 receptor. That CB1 receptor in the brain helps reduce negative memories. So it helps eliminate those memories so they can't hurt you anymore. I call it like a rose with thorns on it. So it de-thorns the rose for you so you can have that memory and it not harm you anymore, in a sense.
But it also leads to other sorts of memory loss as well in long-term use. And that's more so with younger people, I understand.
Yes. Yeah, okay. There's a reason behind that. Okay. The reason behind that is from the age, we have what's known as our endocannabinoid system that cannabis works off. The endocannabinoid system creates homeostasis throughout the body. It's in most of our cells. So it's looking at all the cells, and when input comes in, it has to adjust to it, going, it needs more of this or it needs less of that, so that you're in balance. So you stay at 98.7 degrees Fahrenheit throughout your day. You don't have a fever. You don't have to burn off a virus. So it stays there. And when you have a virus and certain things activate, it tells the body going, hey, you need this. You need to activate this and it lower this. So it creates a homeostasis environment is what cannabis does. This is where my thoughts kind of jumble some days.
But you say that you don't get high off of it, but
I get high off of it, but it's not like I'm doing it to get high.
Mhm.
There's no I want to just get high mentality to it. There's no forethought of I just want to relax. For me, it's an automatic I need relief. I need relief.
Well, that's similar to people who take painkillers. I mean, they get
True.
the warm fuzzies, but they still need the pain medication to stop
Function.
to stop the pain. And so one of the I think more at least from my side, one of the things that gets confused is that marijuana can completely replace opiates 100%. We won't need opiates anymore, and this will end doctors prescribing opiates and get rid of these companies benefiting off of addiction and stuff like that. Is that something that you believe?
No, I do not. Opiates and cannabis work together. For severe chronic pain, you need an opiate. You need that because cannabis only works at one receptor. Opiates work at a different receptor site, and those receptors have different pain relief. So when you hit the opiate, you're getting a full relief. You're getting that full antagonist. So it's giving you that full nice buzz. When you use cannabis, it's only a partial. So you're working with your body than fully just dumping meds on it and saying, here, work with this. With cannabis, you're working with the body and cannabis. However, with that said, you need both of them to work together, especially on chronic pain patients, people who have intractable pain, people who can't handle that much opiates, because you don't need that many opiates when you combine cannabis with it, because it works. They compete, or they don't compete. They work symbiotic together.
Yeah, marijuana actually, from somebody who has taken a long time to study the effects of drugs to his own body.
Uh-huh.
I just purely research driven is all it was. I,
Sure.
yeah. It didn't matter what drug I happened to be doing. If I did that drug and then smoked weed, it heightened it times 100%. It was just a whole. It didn't just make this mixture of two. Like if you take lots of people like to take cocaine and heroin at the same time and shoot them up, and that's I think it's called a speedball, and it's two totally different things that give you different feelings at the same time, an upper and a downer at the same time, and it kind of counteracts and makes this different feeling. But weed is different. Weed actually just heightens what you're already doing, and then maybe smoking some cigarettes on top of that will do it as well, make it a little bit more and more stronger.
Make what stronger? The high?
Yeah, more so with opiates than with marijuana. Yes, with opiates, if you're smoking cigarettes, it kind of intensifies it, but it's a very short
intensifying.
Yes, so it does it for a very short amount of time, which if you're doing it to get high, you turn around and start chain smoking because you're losing that high so fast now that you got to keep smoking and smoking, which I've been clean for over 10 years this year. And
congratulations. That's a great accomplishment.
Thank you very much. I would wonder, I think that probably it was inconvenient for us to go outside all the time and smoke cigarettes. I would think vaping may be a new life hack for heroin addicts.
It could be. It could be you're hitting those receptors. It'll keep you clean. That's all that counts.
Yeah. One of the things that I worry about, and as somebody who's been to a million NA and AA meetings, and has all of his friends were drug addicts. I Let me go ahead and just lay the whole thing out there for you. So I worry
Okay.
about whether or not it's going to be a gateway drug still. And I do believe that it's a gateway drug. And I think that one of the issues, or one of the reasons it's a gateway drug, is because it's illegal. I think that in states where it's illegal, you are now desensitized to doing illegal things. If you're just some, goody two shoes who happens to try smoking weed and you like it and you continue smoking weed, I think that a part, and let me clarify real quick because lots of people like to change the definition of uh, gateway drug. The
Mm-hmm.
gateway drug is, it means that it is a drug that you started off doing and then moved on to harder things. It doesn't mean it's just the first drug you did, and it doesn't mean that it makes you move on to harder things. It means that it is the first drug that you did that kind of opened the gates for harder drugs. And I think for people, or for states where it is illegal, I think that it's actually um, more so of a gateway drug because you are desensitized to doing illegal acts and being in a criminal world and meeting more and more criminals and drug dealers and all sorts of things. And then these people also, help introduce you to other harder drugs and, move you up that ladder. Now, I've been looking for studies nonstop, and I found some very recently that say that, because what the number that I would look for is overdoses. If I want to know
Mm-hmm.
whether or not there's a difference in a legalized state versus a state where it's still not legalized, I would want to know what the overdose rates are. And what I've seen is that the overdose rates are dropping in states where they are illegal, but they happen to drop at the same exact time Obama put stricter laws on um, dispensaries selling cannabis. And those two kind of, you would think, would counteract each other. What is your information or your research told you on this?
As a gateway drug, I think your definition is correct that it can be. I know personally you feel like you've you've now experienced a what everybody seems to term a soft high, what cannabis provides, as opposed to a harder drug. Um, in the sense that they've made it illegal, they've made it a substance that is illicit and that people find tempting, and you always want to touch the things you can't have type of mentality. Um, in that sense, cannabis is viewed as a gateway drug because you are being exposed to more violence when it's an illegal substance. You are being exposed to more substance because then the drug dealer is going to have more on him. He'll have cocaine, he'll have heroin. He won't just have weed, where a dispensary just has cannabis. Um, and until people understand that cannabis is a medicine and people use it medicinally and not for the high, and understand what that high means. A lot of people, I think, get a misunderstanding of what being high means and how it can destroy your life. When on a medical term, I'm finding strictly on cannabis, there's different highs because they're hitting different receptors. On a cannabis high, uh, it's not damaging, it's not life altering because it is only a partial agonist towards that receptor. So it is and it's not. It's for my opinion, I see cannabis as what I see in the future is everybody using it from 25 up. No, not younger, because younger, there's your endocannabinoid system is developing. By adding cannabis to the mix, you're changing that endocannabinoid system, and that's where there is some research out there indicating that teens exposed to cannabis have a higher incident of irrational behavior, irrational decisions, um, more of the thrill seekers because it stimulates part of the limbic system. And that's where you want to get into more. You want to experience higher. You want to go for broke, so to speak. And experiencing more drugs can do that. And that's where you're seeking that mentality. But in my view and where I see cannabis going, I don't view cannabis as that illegal substance to get high, to hang out with your friends and get stoned. I view this as, yeah, you're going to hang out with your friends and get stoned, but you're doing it as a medicinal purpose. You're doing it knowing that you're going to function better on tomorrow than you are right now, because it's going to allow you to process more and be calmer on the tomorrow, or be calmer tomorrow than you are today, because you can process things. You can feel like you can breathe a little. That's
So,
my view on it.
because you keep saying, for medicinal use over and over, but it sounds like you're also in favor of recreational use. You just view the recreational use as medicinal use as well.
Correct. Because people are getting high, and there's a reason for that highness in my belief. There's no science for me backing that up for the reason why people want to get high, but there's a need that people are finding, that they're seeking a need and seeking to get high for some reason. So I'm not stating that being high on cannabis is a bad thing, and being high is a bad thing. There's a stigma associated with it, and I dislike that.
Well,
And
it's the same with alcohol though as well, because the people want to go and drink, and there are, I would say, um, the same benefits to having a glass of wine every night, as opposed to getting drunk. Just, a way to
I
relax.
disagree.
Okay.
I disagree. Based on this, on that, I disagree on the science. Alcohol is a stimulant. It stimulates a different system within the body. It thins the blood. It can aggravate inflammation. With cannabis, it does not do that. There is no inflammation. It's going to lower the inflammation. It's like, for me, taking a vitamin supplement. That's where I view. Granted, if you want to go out and have a beer and do all that, that's great. But there is risk associated with that medically, over long term, short terms. But they are finding there are benefits. There are benefits to some drinking. I just don't know what, based
Well,
on the system it's using.
yeah, I meant more on like if I get off work, I don't personally drink, but if I get off work and I want to sit down and have a beer and kind of unwind,
Mm-hmm.
helps with that relaxing part that you alluded to before. Now, tell me what, because I'm you keep talking about it. I'm not really sure what it is. What is endocannabinoid?
The endocannabinoid system is a system of receptors on our cells that try to create a homeostasis balance that develop from fetus till we're the age of 25. So at the age of 25, we're fully developed on our endocannabinoid system. Our body knows what balance is. It knows that we need to be 98.7. It knows our equilibrium. It knows that we need to move our hand this way and that way. It knows that our immune system has to function a certain way. So it creates all those memories and all those functions over that 0 to 25 years. And it helps regulate your system. So it keeps you in health. It keeps you healthy and active. And when it's off, you create systems like diseases like fibromyalgia. They're hypothesizing. They're also hypothesizing rheumatoid arthritis. They even think MS may be a symptom of an endocannabinoid deficiency.
Oh wow!
Yeah.
I think I've had friends who try to tell me though that smoking weed while they're pregnant has no effect because weed's fine. So that's not the case. So
We don't know. We do not know. I recommend, unless the woman is severely sick throughout her pregnancy and cannot take anything and she can't keep food down, then go ahead and smoke. But so far, the evidence is abstain while you're pregnant. Don't use while you're pregnant, because we don't know what it's doing to the baby's brain while it's forming. We don't know if it's making them irrational with their thoughts, because that's what system it's targeting. We don't know if it's going to create overeaters. It can do a lot of different things.
But if this is going to affect somebody who's even just 16 years old, why don't we just go ahead and say it's definitely going to affect a baby that is not born yet?
It depends because of the different fetal stages of development. Because for like some drugs, they recommend don't use after or during the third trimester. You can use it before. Say the mom needs it as psychotropic medicine because she needs to function. Without it, she doesn't. They recommend it up until the third trimester, and then they monitor for her while she's off it that third trimester, because that's when the baby's brain is wiring itself really together, apparently. So it depends on the different fetal stages. But I would recommend a full stop that no pregnant woman should, but you don't know. Because you can take a ibuprofen, you can take certain other drugs that they give you in the hospital for nausea, for hyper diabetes and stuff that can hurt the baby, that we know will hurt the fetus, but we don't know what cannabis does and doesn't do. And we've had a lot of women in the 60s get pregnant, and they smoked while they were pregnant, and there's a slight increase, but not much to even be relevant. I mean, there's enough to be concerned, but not enough to warrant that there's a full-out war against it. It's just be very cautious.
Over here in Georgia, I mean, we don't really even have a clue what it's like to be somewhere where it's legal. I mean, I watched the Joe Rogan podcast one time, and I believe in the middle of this podcast, this guy who represents all these companies and businesses and, he just lights up in the middle of the podcast and starts smoking weed. And I couldn't believe it. I thought, what is going on? And then I remembered, okay, it's legal over there, but is it really that legal? Like,
yeah.
I can't, it's hard to imagine. It really is. So is it legal for recreational use?
Yes, in California, in Colorado, in Oregon, and Washington State, it is all legal for recreational use.
And so, do the doctors prescribe marijuana to somebody who's pregnant?
They would not, unless it was absolutely necessary, unless there was no other option, unless the options were that or a very toxic substance. And frankly,
do you have to have a card to get medical marijuana? Or sorry, not just medical marijuana. Do you have to have
cannabis?
A card? Yes, to go to a dispensary or
no, you do not. To go to a dispensary here in California, I haven't been out of state yet, but in California, all you have to do is show your identification, and you go in. As long as you're 18 years or 21 years or older, you can buy weed legally.
So, I don't know if you know, but do you know why it was ever made illegal in the first place?
It was made illegal by basically 5 men. They didn't like it to begin with. I mean, they all thought everybody has this fear of being high and that there's something wrong with it. And so there was a normal paranoia about the fear of being high, but within a certain crowd. It was the Christian evangelicalists at the time that were part of the Senate and the Judiciary Committee that came in, and when Prohibition was going in, saying we don't want this anymore, and the illegals were coming in from Mexico, from India, and from China, and they all used cannabis in their cultures. China was the original cannabis producer up at 6000 BCE. So they used cannabis, and to discourage them from coming and to create fear and paranoia within the locals, they made it that the Mexicans, the Chinese, and the Indians were all bringing cannabis in and smoking it and going to steal their women and rape them and destroy the town. that's where it really came in. It became illegal. In
Well,
1914, it started.
you don't even have to be raping and killing people. I mean, as a Christian, I believe that taking anything that changes your mind frame um, is
Mm,
wrong because you're no longer exactly yourself if you're getting high. And you I even like I would plead my case that I was not the same person at all if I committed some illegal acts while I was high, whether I'm drunk or smoking weed or doing anything that really changes my frame of mind. I feel like you are changing the way that you think. And I mean, we've all seen people do things that they wouldn't do, whether not saying it's right or wrong, but you think differently and you say different things, and it changes your frame of mind if you are uh, smoking weed. And so I would imagine that alone would be enough for evangelicals um, to push against it.
why is that changing a perspective and changing the mind? That it seems, because in my perspective, I see it as just yourself in a different light, as a different perspective. Not so much as that you're not yourself. You're just a prism of yourself. You're just a variation of parts of who you are that you're not normally bringing out. I know there are some research indicating that people who are drunk are who they really are, who they truly are inside, than when they're not drunk, because they feel the release to be who they are.
It makes them more honest, and yeah, I don't disagree with it being a different, just a new perspective of yourself. Just that the new perspective is still not your original perspective. It's not, and I'm all for people trying to think outside the box and think differently. And I don't, anybody who disagrees with me is perfectly fine to disagree with me. But I know personally, I've done stupid stuff after
Mm-hmm.
smoking weed. I do stupid stuff even when I don't smoke weed. That's not
Yeah. Yes.
that's,
Yes.
but I just think that if you're changing your frame of mind and doing things that will make you talk differently and act differently, then yeah, you're no longer exactly the person who you would want to be. I mean, even lots of people after they are no longer high sit back and think, dang it, man, why did I do that? I was not thinking when I did that. And lots of the times it's because they use something to change their perspective.
True. Yeah, for me, I don't feel that as a bad thing. I just view it as for me, it's like people get stuck in their own ways and in their own perspective that they can't see outside themselves at times. And I feel that, not that you see, it allows more openness in your brain. Technically, cannabis does. So yeah, you do stupid things, but typically they're not very dangerous and they're not likely to lead to extreme repercussions. Yeah, repercussions, some bad, yes, but
Yes.
technically not compared to the rest.
Well,
Yeah.
I was trying to look it up real quick because I couldn't remember the guy's name.
Mm.
But there was a guy who was fired because he smoked weed with Joe Rogan on his show. Um, he runs Tesla. What is the guy's name?
Oh, oh, Elon Musk.
Yes. Okay, Elon Musk. Yes.
Yes, he
It,
stepped down from the. He didn't step down because he smoked cannabis on air. He stepped down because of filings with the SDE, um, overvaluating or undervaluating his tweeting about his company's stock value, saying it was going to be 420, which is illegal because he's the CEO of the company. You can't do that because you're going to inflate your stock, and then you're going to have people buy, and then you can sweep out the rug from under them and make them lose
what
their
did
shirts.
what did he tweet?
He tweeted that his stock prices, because Tesla was going to be an openly traded company on the stock exchange, and he said it was going to be starting offers, or it was going to be worth 420 or something, which you can't do that. He said, yeah.
Was he being serious, or was that a reference to marijuana?
He was being serious.
Oh
No,
my
this was
God.
way after the cannabis incident.
What?
I think 420 was just a fun number for him to play with. I don't think he meant it seriously when it became that it was a cannabis reference. No, he stepped down so he could get the SCE off the back of the Tesla company, and they put somebody else in charge. But it had nothing to do with cannabis. It had to do with the SCE, because he'd lose everything with them.
Wow, I didn't know that.
Mhm.
That's crazy. Why would you tweet that? That's insane.
I don't think he's a brilliant mind, a really brilliant mind, but I don't know if he has a full grasp on current reality in how, and that there are repercussions for things that things he says and does.
He
I think
is
he thinks
a
he's a little above.
Yes, he is a beautiful mind.
Yes,
If you've seen the movie, yeah, he's
yes,
a little out of touch.
yes.
Yeah, I but I want to know. So, if a CEO
Hmm.
is, I mean, I guess my example is poor now, but if a CEO is fired for smoking weed, doesn't that make sense though? If especially somebody like him who's in charge of so many people's money and finances and things like that, that they don't want you to change your frame of mind or your perspective.
That's true, but it doesn't have a mind altering effect. It's not like it's changing it 180 degrees so you have a completely radical view and you're going to then give all your profit, all the money to the homeless instead of your client. You're just not going to do that. It's slightly changed. It's not like a radical. It's just like minute, like little here, little there, a little nick, and it's like whittling at times. If you think of like somebody whittling wood, it takes a while, little whittle here, little whittle there, to
Yeah.
create like a beautiful elephant. It's not like a wham bam and your frame of reference is completely altered. It won't do that. Shrooms, on the other hand, there's a possibility that it can, and there's medical benefits for that. But cannabis cannot have that effect. And I don't believe you should be fired for your drug, for any drug use, but especially cannabis. You're not hurting anybody. You're not even hurting yourself.
Well, lots
So
of companies fire people for drug use because
I know, and I disagree with it.
they're afraid that if they injured themselves, normally the insurance companies are going to find you liable
Hmm.
because you may not have the best balance and fall over, or you may, not have the best hand-eye coordination or muscle memory
Hmm.
while you're doing these things, and therefore they think that you are actually liable for the accident, and they're not going to give you um, any sort of compensation because they think that you did it to yourself.
That I believe is horse pucky, um, because
Horse what?
well, horse pucky, horse pucky. I'm trying not to swear. Horse pucky. Um, no, in Canada, when they legalized all cannabis use, they had to put it in the statute that the federal employees were able to use cannabis on the job if the doctor recommended the use, because they knew it was a medical necessity. It wasn't for to being stoned on the job and relax. It was a
But
necessity.
that's if a doctor prescribes it. Just the same.
True.
If I go to work and I'm taking painkillers at the time that my doctor prescribed me, I am not.
Hmm.
If I injure myself, I'm not. I still get my workers' comp because
Yes.
I'm taking what a doctor prescribed me,
Yes.
and he told me I could go back to work. But we're
Yes.
talking about things that are for recreational use, and you said overall that
It,
you don't believe
that's
you're
true.
fired for any drug use.
Oh, yeah. I kind of put my foot in my mouth, didn't I,
Okay.
there?
Okay. So
Because, yes. So, yes, you are right. It does create a problem within the structure of the company. You do have people who will lose their balance, people who shouldn't be using for as a recreational. Now, if you have a doctor's note, so yeah, there are caveats to this. If you have a doctor's note and you medically need it, go for it. But if you're there just getting high because you want to be stoned because you're not coping right then and there, then no. Then you need to take 15 minutes and go take a breathing exercise or do something to be on the job, unless you have a doctor's note. If your doctor says you have anxiety, you're not functional without this, go for it. But without that doctor note, you are liable. It becomes a personal responsibility, not a medical responsibility.
There's some jobs that I would assume, and I don't know, but I would assume even if you have a doctor's note, they're going to let you take time off. Like there's, I would think that if you are trading stocks and bonds and you work on Wall Street, I would.
You're joking me, right?
No, I'm not joking. I would.
Yes.
Yes. What?
Yeah, okay, so you're a little bit younger than me. I'm a little bit older than you, and I grew up in the age of the stock exchange market of the 80s where it was raging, and they loved their cocaine. They were skiing all over that floor, on that floor during trading hours. So no, they're not going to drag them off for if they're taking a narcotic on the floor. It's not going to happen.
I've seen Wolf of Wall Street, so yeah.
I haven't yet.
It's a good movie. It is. My little brother was not happy with it. It was a little too graphic.
It's not for all. Sometimes we need our PG-13s to keep us happy and safe.
Sure. Yeah. Do you watch Game of Thrones?
I did up until the 7th season, and then I just got bored with it. I get bored with a lot.
I'm pretty sure we're like starting the 8th, maybe it's the 9th season. I'm not sure. Yeah, we're starting the 8th season. So you stopped before the 7th season?
I couldn't take anymore. I'm like, I had it lined up to be watched. I was getting ready, and I'm like, nah. I get overwhelmed. I think that's where I kind of stop. I get overwhelmed with, like your brother, with that type of violence, with that in my face. I need happier emotions. I need a calmer, peacer emotions so that I don't lose it at times. So I kind of avoid intense fighting for no reason, in my opinion. I'm the peace, love, and happy child.
There's a great video that my sister's wife put online. Spoiler alert, if you are planning on watching Game of Thrones, I am about to wreck your first season.
Cool. Okay.
Don't watch this, but there's this great video that my sister's wife put online where she is crying in the shower. My sister is crying in the shower, just bawling, and she's goes over and is talking to her, and she's holding the phone like this while she's talking to her, and she's like, "It's okay." The show goes on, and my sister is like, "No, they killed Ned Stark. I can't go on. I can't do this anymore. This is too much." And she's like, "No, come on. The show's worth it. You got to keep watching. Just push through. You'll be happy that you did." And she's like, "No, I can't take anymore. He died so senselessly, and he died without honor. And this is so messed up. Why would they kill him off the show?" And that's actually, to me, I was talking to one of my employees the other day. That's one of the greatest things about the show is when you're watching Walking Dead, like most of the time, Rick Grimes is not going to die. They like put all the guys grabbing at him and, he's, they got him. But the whole time you're not really freaking out because, they're not killing Rick Grimes off of the show. But in Game of Thrones, nobody is safe.
No, they're not.
Ned Stark was the main character. They killed him off the very first season.
They did.
He didn't make it through the full season.
Jeez. No, he didn't. Yeah.
That's what makes the show so great, is that all of these shows, who's not going to die. Like, that's your main character. That's your money maker. They're not killing this guy off. But Game of Thrones, they don't care who you are. You can be cut just like that.
You can get really heavily invested in the characters because you don't know if your character is going to be killed off and if you're going to have to mourn for them.
And they kill off all the main characters, which was another great thing about Jon Snow, is when they kill him, you immediately think, I should have seen this coming. Of course they're going to kill him off. He's everybody's favorite right now. Like, that's what they do. They
Oh,
make him your favorite and then they kill him off. But then the very next season, he comes right back to life. It's okay.
that's what I thought.
Yeah, he comes right back to life. So they trick you double that time. They set you up for the okey doke on that one.
Yeah, I may have to go back and watch some episodes and get back into it. I just haven't. It got really dark, and then I got in a place where, like, no. So maybe. It sounds really cool that he comes back.
Well, speaking of getting your life back, I think about 5 years ago, I saw a study that said that cannabis shrinks tumors and cancer, or that they found evidence that it shrinks tumors and cancer, or at the very least can stop the growth.
Yes.
Now that was 5 years ago. What all do we know about this now?
The evidence is that it works for some cancers. It does not work across all cancers. It works well on breast cancer, and it depends on application. They did find that it does shrink prostate. It goes at lung cancer. It goes. They're also looking at CBD for cancer treatment. There is promising notes in there for cancer relief and for it to be used in conjunction with Western medicine, with chemo and radiation. They found that it's actually beneficial including it into the process.
So what is CBD oil? Like what is that?
So cannabis cannabis plant has two major molecules on it that we utilize. One is THC and one is CBD. THC makes you high. CBD does not make you high, but it makes you happy. And it works on the same system as the THC. So it's doing a lot of the same functions by that when you take THC, the healing properties, the stabilization, the homeostasis, CBD does the same thing, just in a different mechanism way. It uses another receptor to bind with everything. And it's actually, they're finding more benefit with CBD because people don't like that high and people are more willing to use the CBD. They're finding a lot more benefit with people utilizing it and getting relief from it and seeing evidence of their improvement.
Is CBD legal everywhere?
The CBD is within the Farm Bill Act. I believe they legalized CBD. To grow it, I believe they did that. To smoke it and stuff, there are states that still think CBD is illegal.
But to grow it, don't you have to grow marijuana?
No. You grow hemp. There's two versions of cannabis sativa L and cannabis sativa. Cannabis sativa has no THC, has 0.03% THC content in it. We've bred all of that TCH out. When you have cannabis sativa L, you have typically equal parts to THC to CBD depending on your breeding technique. So you can breed more THC in the plant, less CBD.
Isn't hemp also illegal?
Not currently, no. We just passed with President Trump. We just passed the Farm Bill. He signed it into act. He signed it into law, and with that, they allowed for the production of hemp across the federal continent of the United States without repercussion and without a whole lot of stringent protocols and fines and legislation involved. It's typically because usually you just want to grow a plant, and that's how they usually looked at it. Where cannabis, you had to have filed, you had to file with the DEA, the FDA, And if you wanted to grow organic, you had to file with all of those, and you had to go through a lot of hoops. And they didn't grant that permit because it's a cash crop.
Yeah.
But now within the farm bill that they passed, they can grow it now. I don't know who's going to be growing it, but I know it's legal.
Okay. Yeah, because I remember when I was younger, my friends would talk about how much they don't want weed, that they even made hemp illegal, like for road
Yes, yes,
whatever.
correct. Well, they the reason they made the hemp illegal was for the paper industry. Hearst Industries was really big in the 1900s, early
Kirsch?
19 Hearst
Hearst? Okay.
Hearst, yeah, Hearst Industries. They owned a lot of newspapers, and he also had a lot of money into the wood clearing for the paper industry. And hemp came in and would compete with the newspaper with the wood product. So he got it passed through the House to make hemp illegal as well.
You can make you can do other stuff with hemp, like what they can
You
make.
can make plastic. Henry Ford made the first automobile plastic out of hemp material. You make fabric. You make a strong rope. You use the seeds for nutritional value. It's high in omega 3, and it's equal part. It's got almost equal parts to omega 6, which is really good for the Western diet. In China in 6000 BCE, that's what we know that they did, was they utilized the seeds and the fiber for that use. You also make biofuel out of it. I mean, it goes on and on what you can do with this plant.
Wow. Yeah, I always see people posting online about CBD oil, like
Hmm.
just all. It's almost like there's a new Mary Kay sort of thing where they're just sending them out to people and saying, "Hey, sell this to all your friends, get it, get your neighbors to buy it." And so everybody's posting online videos all the time of why you should buy CBD and the new types of CBD oil coming out. But I
Hmm.
saw that they have it for vapes now,
Yes.
like this, yeah, that you can just put
Hmm.
CBD in it. And there's also, I got tricked one time. It was what they call it, dab. Do you know what dab is?
Oh, yes. I've dabbed a
Yeah.
couple times.
Okay, so I thought I was vaping vape juice, and I was actually given dab instead, and did not did not know
Wow.
what was going on.
Wow.
They thought I already had dab. They thought that that's what I was vaping, and
Mm.
so they just said, "Hey, try this one," and I was like, "Okay, cool," and I'm just ripping away at it, and they come over. They're like, "Whoa, whoa, whoa, what are you doing?" I'm like, "Man, I vape all the time. I know what I'm doing. It's cool, but this stuff is really weak." They're like, "Is it?" It's like, "Yeah, dude. I can barely tell that there's anything in it, and I'm talking about nicotine. I'm like, I don't taste any nicotine. I'm not getting anything
Uh-huh.
from this. This is crap." And he was talking about how great it was, and then a little while later, man, whew, that was that was a night right there.
You know what you do to take to get down from a high?
What's that?
Pepper, black pepper.
Black
It's
pepper.
black pepper has a terpene in it. I pronounce it terribly. It's called beta carphyllene, and it is a terpene, and but it acts like a cannabinoid in the body. So it competes with the THC, so it lowers your high, so you don't feel that high. It also, when you get too high, you kind of feel a little bit of pain and anxiety associated with it. The pepper also calms that way down, so you
And
can go to bed and
paranoia.
relax from it.
Lots of paranoia.
Yes, the pepper will bring it down. I've had somebody who was a heavy smoker, a heavy cannabis user, and they took an essential oil of pepper. So it's just the essential oil of pepper. He was like, "Where did my high go?" It was completely gone within a matter of a minute. So
Wow.
if you ever get too high or that, use pepper.
Yeah.
Have pepper on you. Recommend it. It really helps. So people
Next
don't
time.
get freaked out and paranoid.
Yeah, paranoia is definitely one of the
Y-
rougher parts of it. But next time somebody tricks me into taking some dab, I'll remember pepper
Pepper,
is a
black pepper.
black pepper, not
Yeah.
jalapenos.
No, just black pepper.
Black
The
pepper.
typical salt black pepper you'll find on any good table.
Okay, so what does an activist do in LA once it's legalized?
It's it's educating the population that needs cannabis that doesn't know how to access it, what they need, how much they need, how to utilize it, afraid of it. I go to people's homes and educate them and go over a questionnaire of what cannabis does, what the endocannabinoid system does, so that they can go out and go to dispensaries and buy what they need without fear and without feeling like they're morons at it. Giving them the tools. It's like teaching them how to fish instead of giving them the fish.
Are there laws against like driving while high
Yes.
or anything?
Oh, there are many laws. It's basically treated as alcohol here. So if you have containers of cannabis in your car, it's treated as open containers. So if I have a joint in my
Wow.
car, that's treated as an open container, like a can of beer or whiskey would be. If you do travel with cannabis, the best method is in the trunk, under everything where you can't really get to it. That's what they say, anyways. But yeah, it's treated as illegal to drive all over the place.
I was locked up for a while, and one of the guys that I was with, we were standing there watching the news, and it comes on the news. This is in like 2008, 2009, that LA is or California is likely to legalize marijuana, and you know, I thought he was going to be excited. This guy talks about weed all the time.
Mm-hmm.
He was so mad. He was furious, and he's throwing stuff and just so. And I'm like, dude, you love weed. What are you so mad about? He's like, they're putting me out of business. That's the only reason they're doing this, is to put me out of business. They want all the drug dealers to go down, and so they are now legalizing weed to hurt us, to make it to where we cannot sell drugs anymore. And yeah, he was mad. Is there any market for this at all anymore on the black market? I mean,
oh yes, there's
kids?
within California. There's still a large population of the black market. You hear a lot about them when you go to dispensary shops, and there are a lot out there still because they can't. Within California, you can't get licensed well without a lot of funds behind you. It's a pay-to-play system, and with that, it put a lot of the black community out, and they're not part of it. Yeah, so it did take them out of business, which is very, very unfortunate. Extremely unfortunate. There are programs put in place in California to allow people who have cannabis convictions against them to give them fair access to becoming entrepreneurs with cannabis. There are expunging their records for cannabis use. But yeah, they push them completely out of the market. And the people right now in the market are typically white collar hedge fund people now. So it's not your local grow anymore.
Yeah.
So in that sense, it's not good. But you're getting standardized weed now. It's pretty much all the same standard. You're not going to go get something that's so substantive that you're going to go, why did I pay this money for this? Or this has pesticides in it.
Yeah.
So there's benefits and negatives to both.
And
so I can understand where he'd be upset.
Yeah. They have all sorts of different strains too. Like I always hear that, the different strains affect you differently according to how they grow it and what I guess chemicals that they are looking to grow more when they breed them. And it's that part is crazy to me. I mean, when I was a kid, you had swag and you had mids and you had dank, and that was it. Well, I guess there was headies, so maybe four. There were four different kinds of weed, and people came up with all sorts of, Black Widow or White
Hmm.
Widow and
Hmm.
Blue Skywalker and
Yes.
all these, but the names are outrageous now. Like there's names everywhere. Everybody's got their own brand name for their weed and their own strains.
Names mean nothing. Names mean nothing. They've crossbred them so often. The names are just a decorative decor on them at this stage. Basically, yeah, certain strains will have different effects, and that's because of terpenes that are in the plant. So a terpene is the smell you get off a lemon, or the smell you get off of lavender, or the smell of an apple. That is a terpene. That smell molecule is a terpene. And on cannabis, there's a bunch of different terpenes on there, many different varieties. There's over 400 different varieties of terpenes in cannabis. So when you're growing them for certain strains, you're growing them basically for certain terpene content. So, and that terpene kind of primes your brain before you smoke in. So you're smelling it, you're priming your brain going, ooh, this is hitting this receptor. This is the lavender is hitting my soothing receptor, or the pine receptor is, or the pineal receptor is calming a pain receptor down. They do different things. So when you smell them, they're priming you, and that's where you're getting the different strains. But really, what I tell people, because each shop is different, if you go to different coasts, they're different. West Coast, East Coast have different strains. Basically, know if you're a sativa, an indica, or a hybrid person. So a sativa will get you a head high where you want to be creative, you want to be out and about, you want to participate. Or indica typically makes you want to sit in the couch and do nothing. It makes you want to zone out and hang out with friends, but not really talk. Some people's genomes actually switch it, so they're where I might feel like a wanting to go out and paint using a sativa. Somebody may want to go and sleep using a sativa. You have to
Mhm.
play. So basically, you have to know if you're a sativa or an indica person, or if you're an in between person. Because I like hybrids. Hybrids usually don't give me one way or the other, so I don't get too heady or to where I'm locked in my couch. So it all
Isn't
depends on, that's where you would look.
isn't there really no such thing anymore though as indica and sativa? Like haven't they been crossbred so many times now that there's no purebreds anymore?
Very true. There are purebreds out there, but I don't think they're being manufactured right now. They're basically the strains we have on the shelf that we're not utilizing, and we're so far evolving the strains of cannabis, and I think it's just evolving the science of how cannabis is growing, that most people are going to want the hybrids, because the sativas will put you too far this, and the indicas will put you too far that, and it becomes an imbalance for a lot of people. So I think it's just where they'll fine tune it as we go along, and they'll discontinue strains that people don't like, if that makes any sense.
Yeah, well, I mean, how could they have purebreds though? I mean, from the time that it came over from China, you would think that already, if it's spreading all over the place, that different strains from, especially growing them in different kinds of
Climate.
fertilizer and yes, climates and all sorts of things.
Hmm.
These things mix when you go, you travel somewhere else and get theirs and then breed them again, and it seems like it's impossible to have some sort of purebred left out there.
There is no purebred unless you're going back to the seeds that you find buried in ritual sites in China
Exactly.
for the seed. But in my opinion, and what I see as what we've done is we've, over the course of the past 10,000 years, have bred the plant for our specific needs, for our specific purpose, on realizing what we were doing. I think we're just evolving the plant to fit us better, in my
Oh,
opinion, even
I
through
mean,
the hybrids.
yes, I'm not, saying it's bad or anything like that. I'm just saying that if you are calling it indica or sativa, you are more referring to what it does rather than it actually being indica or sativa.
Correct.
Okay.
Very correct.
So, but there's head shops are not selling weed, right? Gas stations are not selling.
No, they still CBD products out here, but they do not sell weed. Only dispensaries can sell weed in California.
My girlfriend actually told me the other day, speaking of putting CBD in a vape, she told me that she heard on the radio that NyQuil just came out with a vape juice. NyQuil.
With a vape?
Yes, that's what she said. I don't know.
Wow.
Actually, this would be a good one to look up because I would love to see what that I would think. Look, me and my friends, we got high off of everything we could find. I mean, we would unhook the air conditioner and inhale some what's it called, the
Antifreeze or
close enough, yeah, something like that. But yes, we would get high off of whatever, and Robitussin was one of our favorites.
yes,
It has dextromethorphan in it. That was the chemical that we always looked for when we were going to buy some
Robitussin.
yeah, some Robitussin. And it was Robotripping was one of our favorite highs to get on because you would just, I mean, man, it just seemed so crazy. Like the craziest stuff would happen while we were doing it every single
Wow,
time. Like insane things would happen. So, uh, vaping NyQuil Yummy.
that looks like somebody created it.
Yeah, I don't. Let's see. NyQuil Severe Vapu Cool Nighttime.
NyQuil and e-cigarette.
NyQuil in an e-cigarette on Reddit.
Did they put NyQuil in their vape pens?
I don't know. So I, she may have just heard some sort of.
I've heard, but I saw something on TV though.
What would happen if I refilled my e-cigarette with yeah, I don't. Yeah, it from what I mean, there's nothing that I see that has this stuff, and I wonder the same thing too. Like all sorts of liquids. What would happen if I start sticking this?
Go to the NyQuil cold flu and Vicks.com. They'll have the products on there. Liquid caps.
Okay, let's see. I mean, they it might just be something that they're working on,
It could be.
and so it probably would not be
Yeah, but if they were, yeah. I see none of their thing on their side anyways.
Vapo Cool. No.
No. No, but I remember seeing something on the news though too, or something like an ad or something about a Vicks vape pen for some reason.
There it is. Non-medicated. Well, no.
That's an inhaler that you put up your nose to open the air passages.
Huh.
I've actually used one of those before. Feels funny.
Yeah, I bet it does. Actually, I keep seeing this thing on commercials where it's like this thing to clear out your sinuses, and you put it up on your nose, and it's got these two holes. And on one side, it's going to shoot water up through your nostrils and then come out the other side.
Yes.
I have really bad sinus problems all the time, especially as soon as it gets cold. I am stuffed up the rest of the time until it gets hot again, and it's painful and it hurts, but I would not want to do that. I got surgery when I was younger, and I got a bunch of different stuff in my nasal cavities, and I had cysts in my nasal cavities the size of golf balls that they had to take out, and it actually had me really sick. I was taken out of school for a long time and had to read grades, and it really screwed with me and hurt my heart, poisoned all sorts of spots in my body, and they had to take out my tonsils and my adenoids because they were poisoned. And anyways, I
Wow.
I would think that from that surgery, I have weird stuff on how it connects to my nose and my mouth and everything.
Yeah.
And I would think, even people, they start laughing when they're drinking milk and spit it up
Mhm.
their nose and stuff. I would think that you would have a drip or it would go into your mouth or something, and that's disgusting. I don't want it to push
No,
snot into my
it
mouth.
can, but not really.
What do you mean? Why not?
So your sinuses go through here, through up your nose, through here, and then up in here, and through there's a small opening between your nose and your throat. That you'll see videos where people put spaghetti through their thing and then do this method because there's an opening through the nasal passages down, but it's not designed to go up and drip down the back. It's designed to go out. It's just a flushing.
But
It's called a neti pot.
if you've ever snorted drugs, then you
Yeah.
know about the drip, and it drips down the back of your throat as soon as you start snorting it.
Yeah, but you're not snorting it up. You're just gently doing this and then it just drops out. I've done that before. It hurts.
Hmm.
It feels like I get water. Well, I'm getting water out my nose, but it feels
Okay,
like you've gotten.
so it opens up because I'm breathing. Is that what you're saying? Like if I'm breathing through my nose or I'm snorting through my nose, that it's going to open up in like an airway to my.
No, you just have open passages all through your nose. Your sinuses are open passages. They're um
My
they're
sinus.
hollow. Yeah, your sinuses go through here, 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 and down into here. They're hollow. There are hollow spaces in our faces, and when those get clogged, they get filled up with junk, and the neti pot just goes through and cleans them all out.
Huh. I didn't. I don't know. I don't know much of anything apparently. I am I got to remind everybody I am a ninth grade dropout, so I am
You
not
would never know.
all
You,
that informed. Well, thank you. Yeah, there it
y-
goes all up.
there's your open sinuses,
Hmm.
little cavities.
The frontal sinus.
Uh huh.
That
There's a few. Yeah.
is, yeah. Okay. All right.
So
Well,
no, it just goes in and out and it flushes. It can't. There is a dripping sensation, and I forget what that's for and what's caused by that. It's an annoyance. It's more like I don't know if there's like an inflammation or problem when that drip happens, but when you use a neti pot, there's no dripping. It just goes in and you just hold it there until it flushes out and you're done.
a neti pot. That's what it's called.
Yeah.
Hmm.
It feels like you jumped in the swimming pool and gotten water up your nose.
Yeah, I even have like dripping or leakage when I get super stuffed up. Like I'll get mucus coming down and or I guess not mucus, but
Yeah, it would be a mucus. It's
okay,
yeah, it's considered a mucus.
okay.
Yeah, my mom has really bad sinus problems. She also has a deviated septum where one septum is blocking part of the air passage. And she tries the neti pot and it goes nowhere. I try the neti pot and it works, but it hurts and
If
it burns too much that I couldn't do it.
if you have a deviated septum, does it open sometimes or is it always blocked off?
It's always blocked off. It's like a growth that sticks out that pushes the passage.
I didn't know
I
because honestly, sometimes I'll vape and I'll
mhm.
pull in and then go to blow out my nose, and it only comes out of one nostril. And that's one of the I have problems breathing through my nose and everything. And so I started wondering like maybe I have
You
had a deviated septum or something like
and they're easily fixed. It's easily go to an ENT and it's an out procedure surgery. They put a balloon in, they inflate to expand and break the tissue apart to open the passage.
I'm horrible at going to the doctors. I really am. I never go.
Same here.
My my girlfriend is always bugging me about going for all sorts of different things. You know, I'm really bad about it. It's not
Why
that
don't you like going?
it's not that I don't like going. It's just that I just don't. I don't know. Like I'm bad about putting things off and not doing things right away. I've had a headlight out for like a month. I just got pulled over for it a couple days ago. I
Oh,
still haven't gotten it fixed. Like I don't know. I don't know. I'm bad about procrastinating. So
understandable. A lot of people, I faced that. I I'm still in the process of writing several things for the classes, and I still haven't finished it. I'm still in the process going. It's been how long, and I'm still there. I'm still trying to get all that nailed down so I have it pat. But yeah, I think yeah, procrastination sucks.
yeah, yeah. It's I'm a little bit better about it with while I'm at work. At least I'm good about it. Stuff that I'm supposed to do from home or outside of the office, I am horrible about. Like I've got stuff that's been sitting there for 6 months that should have finished within a week or two, and nope, just sitting there. Well, did we cover everything?
I think we did. I think as long as my brain went through, and
What time is it over there?
it is 10:10.
10:10. Yeah,
Yeah, 10:10.
you guys are 4 hours behind us.
I thought we were three.
Is it three? Well, okay, maybe it's
What time is it there?
1 o'clock. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, it's 3 hours ahead.
Okay.
I think Maine is the only, and Newfoundland is the only 4 hours ahead of us, besides Hawaii. Or is Hawaii 3 hours ahead of me? I don't know. I forget my time switches.
Well, really, there are no time zones because the Earth is flat.
Yeah. There is no time zones because we're always moving. No, we'd have time zones.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know.
Yeah, I can't even wrap my head around a flat planet. That doesn't even make sense. Might as well fall off of it.
Have you watched videos on it? Like, have you watched like a lot of their explanations behind this stuff?
No, no, I haven't. I, I think I've avoided those. I've been curious, but not curious enough to actually educate myself on the topic
I
to
had to tell my
understand.
girl, I had to convince her that they were serious. Like, she for real thought that it was all jokes. She's like, "No, Tom, you're falling for it. Like, these are all jokes." And I had to keep pulling more and more and more up until she finally realized, like, oh my goodness, these people are not kidding. They really think the Earth is flat.
That doesn't equate unless you're in a tribe that has no contact with with civilization. Wow. People are willing to believe whatever, anything. There's purple elephants, probably.
Yeah. Yep.
Oh my goodness.
Well, I
Do you know if Georgia? Because I haven't. I think it's on the ballot to make medical marijuana legal there.
it's on the ballot every year.
It's
It's on the ballot
oh
every year. They will be the last one. They really will. I mean, it has Republicans have stigmatized themselves so much to where they they don't even care if there's really some sort of, you know, medical benefit to marijuana. And when somebody tries to tell them about it, they're not going to hear them out. They don't care. They think that these are hippies and stoners and, you know,
mm-hmm.
nutcases pushing this stuff. And so they don't hear it. They don't talk about it. They don't debate it. It's not, and Georgia is very Republican. It's been
Yes.
forever since they've had Democratic governor.
Governor.
So yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah, I followed that election cycle in Georgia
Well,
closely.
and my family is, changing their minds on it. But if it wasn't for my sister who has chronic pain issues, they probably would still be in the same boat. You know,
Oh,
although I do remember when I was little, when I was younger, and I not little, but when I was younger and I was smoking weed and I'd get in trouble for it, they would say like, "Look, if it was legal, we wouldn't care. Like you smoke
yeah.
cigarettes and we don't like it, but we don't hound you for smoking cigarettes. If weed was legal, we wouldn't care, but you're breaking the law, you're going to get in
Mm.
trouble, and that's what we care about." And they were right. I got in a lot of trouble. So
Yeah. Oh, that's actually got in trouble. But you made it through.
I
You have
did.
good stories to tell now.
Oh,
Wisdom to dispose of.
actually, I've got a couple buddies I've been trying to get to do a podcast with me just to sit around and tell some stories. I mean, I don't want to like glorify, doing drugs
Drug
or
use.
yes, and make it getting addicted to heroin and going to prison and all of this stuff. I don't want to do all that, but we got some great stories to tell. So
It's
I
important to tell those stories. And it's important because without that narrative, how do the other people who aren't addicts and aren't exposed to that that behavior know what to expect or how to handle the situation, or that they're people are human and we're all faulty, and not to judge them so harshly based on circumstances that you may think are wrong in your stance, but you don't know their circumstances or why they're doing what they're doing.
yep.
So I say tell all of the stories you guys have, because it may help somebody in the end. It may give them somebody going, yeah, yeah, it was funny, but look what happened afterwards, type of thing.
Yeah, yeah, maybe. I
Yeah.
I like to, I like to tell the stories too. I tried writing like a fictional version based on a true story just to make it all tied together for a while. I wanted to write a book on all of it, and again, just procrastinating, just kept putting it off and putting it off. And even though I really enjoyed it and it was, nostalgic and therapeutic even, but just kept putting it off for so long to where when I did want to go back and keep writing again, I had to read like 200 pages to even know where I left off and what all happened before that.
Yeah.
And I wasn't ready to reread everything I had already written ahead of time just so I could start back on it. So
Yeah. I understand that procrastination a lot. I've done the same thing in various forms. I started writing a book 15 years ago. I got through like 30 pages and then I stopped it for a while. Then I had to go back. I'm like, I don't remember where this was going. So yeah, procrastination can be the death of a beautiful idea.
it came. Yep. Well, I mean, or maybe a very bad idea. I don't know. I probably wasn't such a good writer anyway. So
Mm, I'm trying to get to the point where it doesn't matter if I'm good or bad at something. At least I try it.
yeah,
I can say at
no,
least I do that.
yep, and that's me definitely. I get these ideas in my head and just take off full steam ahead, and um, that's I've started businesses and attempted writing a book, and now I'm starting a podcast, and it's just I get an idea and I can't get it out of my head, and I just take off full steam ahead, just get it done
Yes.
as fast as possible. And sometimes that's for other people that I know, they'll have similar ideas to me. I know other people who have been wanting to start podcasts for a long time, but they like keep trying to piece all these little things together and make it, make sense to them and make it work. I said, man, I want to start a podcast. Let's go. And I went online and I bought, all this equipment and started looking for a platform and, ways to record and ways to get other people on and talk to them from Los Angeles or wherever
Mm-hmm.
they are. And I immediately started going. And didn't really know what I was doing from the beginning, but I'm figuring it out as I go. So
That's the best way to do it.
yeah.
And from being a guest, I think you'll do very well.
Well,
I think
thank
you'll
you.
do extremely well.
Thank you. Well, is there anything else in Los Angeles as far or in California as far as weed legalization goes where they need to uh, pick up some ground, stuff that they need to fix? Is it a perfect system?
Oh, no, it is no perfect system. They need to redo the whole system, quite frankly. California really put their foot in their mouth when they designed the regulation of cannabis. We thought we'd do it. We'd take all that we learned from Washington State and Colorado. We didn't apply it well. We have shop owners mad at the states because they can't get licensed. We have delivery companies upset because they couldn't deliver to any areas without fear of being prosecuted, even though
You
it
have
was
to,
legal.
yeah, well, if somebody in one state wants to transport their product to another state, I would assume that would be hard if you have to drive a truck through other states where it's illegal.
Technically, it's considered illegal if you travel any cross state. As long as you're in that state, you're fine. You can go where you want. But if a local jurisdiction cop pulls you over for speeding or a tail light out and they smell weed on in your car, and they can impound it, and that dispensary service loses out on all that, and there's legal fees, and then the driver's in trouble, and then the owner. I mean, it becomes a big ordeal, and things that shouldn't have happened. People who were in the industry since the beginning, since 1996, when we legalized medical marijuana, they're no longer in the industry because they couldn't get the capital funds uh, to license their dispensaries or be in the wrong location. We've made so many hoops and things that the dispensaries and the people couldn't get through. So it's going to take a good 3 years for it to get settled, I think.
But medical marijuana was legalized in 96 over there.
Yes, yes. In 1996, we legalized medical marijuana.
But
The AIDS activists did, I should say.
but were people actually using this? Was it being prescribed? Was it able
Yes,
to be
there were
grown so that they
dispensaries.
could?
It was called Prop 215, and you had 215 shops. You'd go to your local shop or local doctor's office where it's like a little hole in the wall. It's usually a nurse practitioner, and they ask you a couple questions, and you get your medical card, and you go into the shop. Um, and it was a deter for a lot of people who didn't want to go to the shops and do legally, so it was really beneficial. But they lost their shirts when we legalized recreational, because we put so many laws in place that they couldn't follow without a lot of money behind them.
So they couldn't just transition into a
No,
dispensary.
no, it's a pay to play system. So no.
So high taxes.
Yes, very high taxes. We pay one of the highest taxes out here. In California, our dispenser, we have um, there are 3 taxes you pay. You pay your local city ordinance taxes on it, then you pay your state taxes on it, and then you pay your cannabis tax on it. Your cannabis tax is 10%. Your uh, local state tax is like 5%, and then your city tax ranges in California between 8.25% to 11%. So all those add up. So you're almost adding 35% on it on cannabis, when you buy from the shop that they charged, which people are pissed.
I listen to Ben Shapiro all the
Hmm.
time, and he's from California, Los Angeles, and he's always talking about how taxes are already too high out there in the first place to add,
Hmm.
yeah, to add, even more taxes on top of that to sell weed would be really
Hmm.
hard.
It is. It. They're going to, and all the industry insiders that I've spoke with, they're going to have to cut back them. They're going to have to lower them because people aren't going to make it unless you're money with in Wall Street. We have a company out here called Madman. They're an okay company. They were funded by Wall Street. They're a hip weed dispensary store. You go in, they're all playing techno beats. They're all doing that. And
Take that.
people, but they're expensive. They're very expensive. There's people in your face. I don't want to be in there because they're like, do this and do that. And there's no real education behind them. It's just what the personal preferences be for the bud tenders. But no, the big companies all came in, and that's what a lot of little companies are so afraid of here in California, that they won't get their weed out there, that they won't get their shops open. I have people partnering up with other people right now so that they can get shops open.
Yeah, I'm all for lower taxes everywhere,
Hmm.
all over the
I
place.
I agree. Well, in certain rights, I think the tax is unfairly balanced at this stage. Putting it on the working class and on the working people, I think, is highly inappropriate at this stage for the economy and for the people. Um, yeah, the taxes are way too much, especially on cannabis, because they think they can get away with it,
It's
and they might.
hard. It's hard to change it though because somebody like Ocasio Cortez is talking about taxing the rich at like a
Yes.
7% clip. That's ridiculous. Like,
Oh,
why be
I
rich?
agree with that.
Why try to be rich at that point? Like, there's people who are getting raises and they're saying, no, 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 don't give me that much of a raise. Like, get lower, lower. Yeah, give me.
But it's on people who make 10 million or more, not lower. On that 70%, it's 10 million more on I forget, because I spoke with this about a friend. I'm not that well versed in it, but it actually would benefit the economy because it's only on 1% of the economy that would get that tax. 1% out of 99%. I'm
Okay,
okay with that.
okay, but put it this way. Say we have a whole world tax, right? Okay. We got a whole world in one government, right?
Okay.
You and me are accustomed to living a certain way, regardless of whether you're poor or rich in America, you live in America, the richest country, not just in the world, but in the history of the world. We are the richest country right now. I
Yes.
make less. I make less than $40,000 a year.
Yes.
I am in the top 1% of the world.
Hmm.
Of the world. So
Yeah, but
all
not
this
of the
money,
US. And in the US, you barely are scraping by because you have to pay the rent, the food cost goes up, inflation. I mean, putting a blanket statement across the world does not apply at this stage unless everybody gets on the same page, unless we all advance to one and we become the utopia that Star Wars and that has had implement, or Star Wars? No, Star Trek. Not Star Wars. Star Trek has suggested. But you can, there'll be no world government, one world government. Too many people have too many wants, different wants. One person wants something completely different than the other.
well, right.
I
I don't
believe that there should be high taxes on individuals in the U.S. to pay for a lot of the infrastructure and the economy that helped grow those people. They didn't make that money themselves. They needed the roadways, they needed the cops, they needed the firefighters, they needed the other people to support them in that effort. They needed the teachers. So I don't think I think it's highly fair that when you're that, yeah, be celebrated, make your money, enjoy, invest it, do what you want with it. But don't expect that to not pay more of the taxes when you're using more of the resources, you're traveling more, you're more likely to fly when you're in that percentage, you're more likely to go shopping and pay for more things. So I believe there's high benefits in taxing a higher percent, or taxing people who make above a certain percentage of, or certain dollar amount.
But buying things more, you're already paying a retail tax every time you buy stuff. And I think that we've kind of got ourselves stuck to where we're spending so much money that we can't have an even tax across the board because of that. If we
No,
didn't
yeah,
spend so much, it would be easy to just have an even tax, real fair. Everybody pays the same, and
no, that
that
doesn't
would
work. A flat tax does not work.
right.
But on if you but that's a 70% on a flat on taxes and a flat tax is only on 10 million and above. And I don't know what the leeway is, and how many loopholes and certain things that they'll be able to get out of that. So
But
I
again,
think it's,
if I'm getting a raise and they say,
yeah.
"Look, we want to give you this much of a raise," and I'm like, "Oh, well, no, 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 no. I'm about to hit a new tax bracket. Just give me less of a raise because I don't want to make that much money. I will
So
make
you're
less
gonna,
money."
so if you're making $9,980 and they say we'll offer you $20,000 more, you would, of course, but
But
you
how
still
many
make
tax brackets are there, though?
quite a few. I don't know, actually. I don't know
Exactly.
the tax
So we're
bracket.
not just talking about just the top tier. We're talking about in each tier, you get
No,
to a
no,
point
just the top
where
tier.
right.
Just the
No,
top
I'm
tier.
saying in each tier. I'm talking about in my
Yeah.
example, in each tier, you get to a point where you if you got a raise above a certain amount from your job, you could actually end up making less money because you enter a new tax bracket.
Um, Possibly, but it's not likely that you're going to hit that unless you're making big bucks, unless you're making a million and above. I mean, people making less aren't going to be affected. And that's the majority of the people. And I don't find it wrong to tax somebody who makes that much money. I think it's benefit to the society because everybody benefits when everybody wins. Or not everybody wins, but when everybody participates. And they are participating. And right now they're not. They're not paying their fair share. The lower classes pay more taxes than any of the higher tax people. They
But
pay
there's
more,
more of them.
but uh, yeah, but just because numbers, I don't agree with just because there's more of them doesn't mean that there should be tax more, or that the rich should be taxed less. I think they should be taxed fairly, and I don't think it's fair.
I'm not saying that they should be taxed less because there's more of them. I'm saying that if you're going to compare numbers, I'm saying, of course, they're going to pay more because there's more people in the lower class. But
No, percentage on wise, they actually pay more taxes percentage wise than the wealthy. Warren Buffett's secretary, the big famous thing is she pays more taxes than he does. And she makes 182,000 and he's a billionaire. She
from
pays more
tax
taxes.
cuts, from just different tax cuts.
Yeah, no, she just pays more taxes than he does because he's able to offset it drastically. When you're in certain brackets, you're able to offset a lot of your taxes because it's held as assets, or it's not tangible, or what your
Sorry,
real wealth is tied up in.
sorry, I did say tax cuts. I meant, yeah, ways to pay less taxes. Yes,
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah.
What what phone are you using to record this?
A Samsung 7.
S7.
Yes,
Is it the S7 Plus or just the S7?
just the S7.
This is the one with the edge on it.
No, no edge.
I had the S7 Edge. I because your screen is so square, I wondered.
Mm-hmm.
I love Samsung actually. I think people who get Apple phones are not they don't know what they're missing out on. So this
Mm-hmm.
here is the S9 Plus, and
Oh, nice.
when I close it, a little LED screen
Wow.
pops up, and it does it like it's not shining through or anything. There's a little pocket
Yeah.
there, but a little LED screen pops up, and I can do all sorts of stuff with this LED screen. Like, it really is amazing. If I pull up, so right now I'm pulling up Pandora, okay?
Mm-hmm.
And when I pull up Pandora and I close it, it'll show little, movie
Music. Yeah.
stuff, and then I can lock it, turn it on.
Oh, wow. That's nice. That's
And
a
it
real.
pauses.
Wow. I've thought about. I know I have to get a new phone. Maybe a year. I'm hoping, not sooner. But yeah, I need to want to get a better camera on my phone.
I just went out and got that case just because it looked cool. I mean, it's
It
like
is cool.
it looks like fabric or something like that. It's very
Yeah.
very nice looking. And then all of a sudden, I put it on my phone. Doesn't plug up or anything anywhere. It just turned on lights. I don't know
Wow.
how it charges or what. I guess with since they have wireless charging now,
Yes,
the phone can charge the case. I'm assuming. I don't
I
know.
believe so.
It's crazy. They have all
It,
sorts of things like this now.
it is cool. Technology is advancing. I remember in the early or late 90s, I met somebody who was a salesman for cell phones, and he kept going, they're going to get smaller and smaller and smaller. And he had this itty bitty little phone. And now we have these phones where we want the screens. We want to see what we were looking at.
Yes, that yeah. I had the Sony Ericsson that was like the size of my vape,
Yes,
from, like here to
yes.
yeah. I would hold it like that, and now we really we thought it was going to become like little nanotechnology where we were going to be walking around. No, it's getting
No.
bigger and bigger, and I would love to have a phone the size of my iPad. That would be great. I'd be perfectly cool with that.
Yeah, it would. It would be more functional. But how do
Or
you carry it around
yeah,
you?
yeah, I need like a little thing on my belt to just slide it into.
What they need to do is, I know it's on the horizon, but they're making folding screens. So like an old scroll, have an old scroll out, watch your thing, scroll it back up.
Yeah, I've seen those. The it's like paper. It's crazy the way it folds up. The coolest thing I've seen is okay, so it looks like this bracelet
Mm-hmm.
and it has a little projector on it that projects onto your wrist right here.
Yeah.
And then it can read like by motion detection where you're touching so that you can like tap your apps and stuff like that and open stuff and swipe and everything, and you've got
Wow.
your phone right there on your wrist. Yeah, that thing looks amazing. I can't wait to get something like that. But
Yeah, I'd look forward to something like that as well. Not bulky, and I can't break so easily.
well, Logan, I appreciate you coming on.
I thank
Um,
you for having me on.
is there a Twitter or something that people can look for you at if they want to find you after this?
I can send you the We'd Like to Know a Twitter account and all that.
Okay, and I'll add that to the bottom of the page.
Okay. All
All right.
righty.
Thanks for
Thank you
coming
so
on.
much.
We'll
Have
see
a
you
good
guys
night.
later.
Okay. Bye.
Thanks for listening to the Tomfoolery Podcast. If you'd like to hear more from Logan Woods, you can look her up under the name We'd Like to Know on Facebook, Instagram, or Twitter. That's WeedLikeToknow. Or you can just search We'd Like to Know on Google. Later, fools.